pour les personnes qui ne connaîtraient pas cette formule que nous avons instaurée, c'est la documentation avec Émilie Vabre, avec qui je travaille ici à la documentation. C'est une formule qui s'appelle à l'invitation et qui permet aux élèves de découvrir certains textes, certains ouvrages, un peu à l'instar d'un projet de design, c'est-à-dire en général avec les personnes qui le conçoivent, qui le fabriquent. Voilà, et donc aujourd'hui, c'était un format, c'est le numéro 49, et nous avons la chance, vraiment une grande chance, grâce à nos amis du Design Textile,
Émilie en particulier.
Émilie, mais toute l'équipe textile, pardon. Et donc finalement, nous recevons donc, je vais essayer de le dire correctement, Giulio Ridolfo.
Parfait.
Grazie mille. Et donc, c'est un monsieur connu à travers le monde parce que c'est un designer spécialiste de la couleur qui a de nombreuses activités professionnelles. D'abord, il a été diplômé de la Domus Academy de Milan et il a donc une grande expérience professionnelle, tout particulièrement avec Kvadrat, qui est une grande société que beaucoup d'entre vous connaissent, bien sûr. Et donc, nous le recevons à l'occasion de la sortie d'un livre qui est consacré à son travail et justement à ses expériences menées tout au long de sa carrière. Et pour ce faire, donc, je veux quand même préciser quelques petites choses sur le livre. Nous aurions aimé recevoir aussi l'auteur de ce livre qui s'appelle, je ne voudrais pas faire d'erreur, Jane Withers. C'est une historienne de l'art anglaise qui est donc spécialisée aussi dans le design, commissaire d'exposition, qui a une grande activité de production autour du design. Voilà, et donc ce livre a été édité en 2020 chez Phaidon, grâce à l'activité et la collaboration de Kvadrat. Et vous allez voir, je vous l'ai donné d'ailleurs à regarder un petit peu là, il y a de très belles photographies, il y a un travail plastique d'édition très bien mené, que vous allez découvrir en feuilletant, et grâce aussi à l'intervention de Giulio. Je vais laisser la parole donc à Émilie, qui va faire l'introduction de cette soirée.
Ouais.
Oui, j'ai demandé d'être une chose informelle, un petit peu comme ça, parce que je crois, pardonnez mon français, je suis italien, je parle un petit peu français. Ce qui se passe maintenant, c'est très beau pour moi d'être dans une école encore, de nouveau, parce que j'étais un étudiant. Et je comprends très bien l'émotion d'avoir des personnes qui viennent de notre ambiance, du même ambiance, mais de notre ambiance, avec d'autres expériences, mais bien de partager des choses qui sont toujours très réelles. Faire des choses est une chose projetée, faire faire un métier, se créer un métier, c'est une chose qui porte une très belle émotion dans mon aspect. Encore, je trouve qu'il y a beaucoup de choses à faire. C'est pas que j'ai substitué avec mon travail, mais j'ai excusé parce que ça c'est une chose qui est belle, parce que c'est renouvelé, constamment. C'est pas une chose nouvelle pour moi. Mais maintenant, grazie.
Je voulais juste rajouter aussi que Ulrich était présent, qui est directeur de Kvadrat France, et s'il y a peut-être des interventions, enfin, n'hésitez pas à rajouter quelque chose. Et sinon, oui, on a pensé que c'était une très bonne idée d'inviter Giulio Ridolfo, parce que déjà on a un atelier de projet sur la couleur, et donc c'est un travail qui est hyper riche de la couleur que moi j'avais découvert en travaillant pour Kvadrat. Et donc j'étais très curieuse déjà moi-même personnellement de te rencontrer. Et puis ensuite, pour les élèves, je trouve que c'est hyper intéressant de voir comme ça un expert de la couleur travailler avec l'industrie. Donc comment est-ce qu'on traduit industriellement une couleur, comment est-ce qu'on approche une part hypersensible de la couleur, mais pour tous les autres, pour les autres. Et puis dans ce livre, en fait, il y a une... je vous conseille vraiment de le lire parce qu'il y a une très très belle façon de rentrer dans le travail de Giulio et de rentrer dans la couleur par à la fois la botanique, il y a des textes, vraiment les textes sont très bien écrits, c'est ça aussi que je voulais dire.
Oui,
peut-être que tu peux commencer à introduire comment est-ce que cette idée du livre elle est arrivée.
Voilà. Le livre est arrivé dans ma vie comme une bombe. Je ne voulais pas faire un livre sur mon travail. J'ai pensé que ce n'est pas possible de faire une autobiographie, parce que c'est difficile de travailler de soi-même dans un travail qui est si pas organique, c'est le contraire de l'organicité. Mes expériences sont arrivées à travers le travail avec la mode. J'étais jeune, j'ai travaillé dans un magasin comme un worker et en vendant des vêtements. J'ai toujours aimé les vêtements, mais pas comme mode, mais comme possibilité de s'exprimer dans une façon de couleur. Des matières, des tissus, des proportions, des choses. La mode m'appartenait beaucoup. J'étudiais mode à Milan quand j'avais 24 ans avec Gianfranco Ferré dans une école qui était extraordinaire. C'était un projet de Domus. Domus est la revue italienne par hasard la plus importante des arts décoratifs, constituée par Gio Ponti. Et après, dans les années 80-85, il n'y avait pas la possibilité d'étudier mode en Italie, sinon dans des structures très classiques comme le Marangoni, des choses qui sont ancien régime totalement. Il n'y a pas la possibilité de faire. Et alors, ce qui s'est passé, c'était comme un grand master d'1 an et demi, qui était vraiment comme une concentration sur la possibilité d'analyser la couture ou l'industrial design comme un grand observatoire avec des enseignants, teachers, bon, qui ont eux la possibilité de travailler projet sur projet, probablement comme ici, de 3 mois, sur des thèmes très importants, qui c'était la matière, le dessin, la couleur, la botanique, ou des choses qui sont dans chaque personne, que nous sommes quand même, j'espère que nous sommes tous créateurs, non? On a envie de faire des choses. Et alors, s'est retrouvé dans une école qui donne la permission de faire ça, était une chose pour moi très incroyable, comme biographie. Après, les livres, c'est la part finale, c'était comme une chose qu'ils m'ont proposé les propriétaires de Kvadrat, parce qu'il était bouleversé, bien, très intéressé de mon façon de travailler vers la couleur. Kvadrat, c'est une compagnie danoise qui a l'héritage d'une très incroyable dessin pour la vie, je sais, pour l'art, pour l'ameublement, pour la structure, pour la lumière, que j'ai toujours très admiré. Mais también c'était une chose qui a révolutionné le mode de vivre en Italie dans les années 60. Dans les années 60, fin 60, on disait « je vais acheter une étagère à la mode suédoise ». Ça fait très simple, componible, des choses qui étaient modernes pour l'Italie. Et quand même, j'étais très intéressé à avoir un dialogue avec Anders Bidel, l'actuel propriétaire de la compagnie, qui, en effet, je le connaissais comme sélectionneur de tissus. J'étais dans ce moment de ma vie, j'ai travaillé dans la couture, j'ai commencé à travailler avec Morosa, une compagnie italienne, qui était spécialisée en design contemporain. Alors ils m'ont demandé de l'aider à sélectionner les tissus parce que j'étais quand même couturier. Je savais bien comment couper une chose, les surpiqûres, les couleurs, la mise en forme d'un objet. Et ça a commencé une période très très beau parce que je connaissais l'expérience des tissus italiens, mais j'éprouvais une forte attraction pour les tissus scandinaves, pour le Nord, pour la France también. Je venais à première vision chaque année. J'ai utilisé des tissus français dans l'ameublement qui sont très beaux. Et j'ai commencé j'ai eu ils m'ont demandé de faire quelque chose avec Kvadrat. Moi, je ne sais pas, un textile designer, je ne sais pas mon rôle. Et j'ai dit, on va essayer à faire ça. J'ai connu un des créateurs qui sont plus importants de Kvadrat et j'ai commencé à travailler avec lui. Avant, en se connaissant, il était Transdenkmeier, c'était un homme incroyablement talentueux, il avait beaucoup de talent pour la construction des matières, des structures, comme des pinpoints, des diagonales, des choses incroyables. Il a travaillé avec Kvadrat pour plusieurs années et j'ai, au ce moment-là, utilisé des matières qui étaient de lui. Par Kvadrat, c'était un tissu qui s'appelait skiffer, une honeycomb. He was the really creator of these wonderful contemporary structures. So at that time, to me, we were working in the design field with Patrizia Moroso, Patrizio Chiola. We were finding out new ways of covering that, because normalement, ce qui se passe dans l'industrie des fauteuils, des choses, vous choisissez le bout du bon gris, blabla, des choses qui sont si belles, mais ils n'ont pas de l'âme, ils n'ont pas la structure. Et on a commencé à créer des choses qui avaient une image très forte, graphique, qui ont croisé les langages et les symboles de la couture avec le symbole de l'ameublement, en croisant des choses qui peut-être también une chose comme ça, comme l'absorbant, des choses qui avaient du est-ce qu'on dit très dit en français?
3D.
Tridimensionnel.
3D,
des choses qui avaient un relief, des choses qui n'étaient pas plates normalement. Et alors on a commencé à faire ce travail, ça, ma origine avec la couleur, c'est pas ma origine avec la couleur, mais une partie très profonde. Kvadrat m'a donné la possibilité de discuter la mise en scène de la couleur de une façon plus moderne. Et alors, du premier point, c'est incroyable comme une compagnie base son travail non seulement sur la couleur. C'est une chose qui est très rare. C'est pas...
Oui, c'est ça, c'est très rare en fait.
Voilà, c'est rare. Et pour moi, c'était une chose qui m'a donné une liberté et je me suis très ravi de pouvoir le faire parce que je travaillais avec des personnes qui avaient une expérience immense sur la construction du tissage, non? Parce que la famille de Kvadrat travaille avec le design, avec Nana Wiesel, toutes les personnes qui ont contribué à Bernard Panton, toute l'explosion des années scandinaves, des années 60. Et alors, dans une tradition comme qui avait le privilège autant d'utiliser des couleurs plus propres, sobres, comme le Himmelblau, Sky Blue, c'était ça qui d'une part, m'intéressait, ce design propre, clean, non, vraiment subtil. Mais d'autre part, avec mon esprit méditerranéen, italien, j'aurais besoin de mélanger des tons et créer une chose qui était plus latitudinale, plus de mélanger les langages. Parce que autant c'était, normalement, on prenait des tissus qui sont peints à la pièce, non, c'est pas au yarn dyed. Et c'était pour moi une chose que j'aime beaucoup ça faire, l'interpréter les tissus, les rendre parfois avec maybe also some mistakes or these things, but to work on some existing dogmas and maybe to transform them, no? To have some ideas from my textiles came from Englishman's tailoring. Some ideas came from creation of minimal music, phasing, Steve Reich. There was something in between, very different expressions. And the book talks about these things. The book, Materializing Colour, is a term that Jane wanted to say, and she wanted to say best regards to you all. She cannot be here, but we will do in the future something else with her, maybe. She's a wonderful critique. She's an expert in the historian of design, but she's also an ecologist. So she works in different fields and she has a view on design. That's why it was easy to me to work not with in a book that was a committee. It was a group of people, not only me. I didn't want a book on myself. because I don't like it. I wanted to put on some questions about what is the sense of making textiles or making color nowadays in an industry, for example. And so inside the book there are some essays about indigo from my side in India, but also a kind of an encyclopedia, a constrained encyclopedia of what's happening in color nowadays. No? And so there's a lot of rumor about colors. We cannot say that nowadays everything is about color. Maybe too much, in my opinion. So it's better to have a view, like a bit of panorama, no? Like I did, when I travel, I like to have a view from far, to be in, but also to be far from this sentiment, because it's very important also to achieve information through diving like a whale inside and then go out, I say, no? And that's why with Kvadrat was possible, because they gave me the possibility to start a project, to modulate it, and to understand what can you reach with some limitations, because Kvadrat, for example, as a 60% of the origin of Kvadrat is wool. It's wool that comes from New Zealand, is transformed, then comes in raw stage and comes to England, it is spun and hand spun in England, near Manchester, and then there's the process of creation. At that stage is very important, because in the limitation of a theme, there is also a possibility to invent something new, in my opinion. This is a lovely trick, no? Otherwise, I don't want to defend this, but I would say that sometimes having free materials and cooking is the base. You have to understand how to cook with these materials. And with wool, to me, after an enormous period of having this sensation of an exotic producer like Kvadrat coming to Italy, wearing the first piece of design, the shapes of Ronara, or something, productions that were from B&B or Cassina, these very famous Italian companies. It was the first stage, but then there was also a need to work less radical, no, less exotic. That's why Anders, to whom I give a wonderful intuition as a man, as a thinker, we started to discuss a lot about how can we, not how we can transform, simply I started to work with them. They gave me this possibility immediately to work. And it was genius, because I went many times to work with them, north in Denmark, feeling the difference, traveling, and understanding somehow which is the pragmatism or the Protestant side of Denmark that I love by one side. The cleanliness, the sense of joy, but a sense of an achieved joy that is different from our style. I say our because as Italian, I can also go to Baroque, to Rococo, a lot of things that can handle to an infinity. And coming from fashion, more, when you have a situation, you can work with a brocade, you can work with a duchesse, incredible techno materials, you can blend them. So actually, to me it was easy because I was a transversal player, no, in this field, having this attitude of selecting fashion in this beautiful way as a beautiful research. When it's too much, at the end it's too much. But the idea of having these subtle tones possible to be inspired by Thai silk, the double colors, to understand what is formation of a textile. To me, for example, I always admire men's clothes, men's textiles. They're very beautiful, in my opinion, because they have a structure, they have solidity, they can build, they can build architecture. Mm-hmm. In this sense, the values of Kvadrat correspond to my values because they have long-lasting fabrics, they have to support a hard utilization, but it doesn't mean they have to be said. That's why the big meaning was this, to transform a thing that could have to last for 20 years with the capacity of to be replicable, no? to have a replica on it, to have somehow a sense of achieved beauty, something that could highlight a place, especially when you talk about the quantity of chairs, not only two, not only sofa, but an opera, a cinema, or a bar, or whatever, a hotel, common places. That's why, to me, my work with them was somehow big training for me, but also for them.
Yeah, that's why also I was wondering how you could combine like this eccentricity and this Nordic more strictness, but maybe it's with the
it is, because it can be very sophisticated. The work in Kvadrat can be very sophisticated. That's why, for example, I don't want to talk especially about, maybe tomorrow we can talk more about my textile specific, but we obtain some new ways of weaving, in the sense that I always work with intertonal colors. I like a color formed by many colors, like in a paint, or like in a gouache, or like in a work of Turner. I like a symbol of, it's never a solid blue to me. It's a blue that is formed in a way that is achieved by blending maybe 4 yarns and a 10% of polyester, or maybe something that gets a structure. But it's a color achieved, in my opinion, always a color that is layered.
Yeah, it's always vibrating.
See,
the contrasts.
it's vibrating because it needs to vibrate. It needs to resonate. This is the beauty of like a print, or like a FSC or red shirt. There's something that goes in the tonality of the colors also, no? Actually, it's the color wheel, but I don't want to talk about the color wheel. But we know that somehow contrast can create a resonance, no? In general, how an artist also can play in multiple, so how the percentage of a quantity of a mass of colors can individuate a space, no? This is something that goes beyond this, and my work with Kvadrat, especially with creating textiles, was not matching different textiles, creating an ambiance, or creating a piece of furniture, was working as an element that after would be applied to on a shape, on a sculpture, on a three-dimensional object. Saying this, I say that I know I see a lot of probably you also weave, you know, a lot of these things. I'm not, for example, I never practiced about with a loom, but I have a lot of friends that are weavers, so sometimes I can say, even in my history, I always try to work with the designers by adding a kind of a symphonic aspect, no? Work more in the surface and create there is something that is called phasing, like in a minimal music, like all the music created by Steve Reich, the big American movement, and on. When you continue to play the same sound, there's a resonance at the end, no? And so with the textiles, with the color, we can create a resonance if you are interested in. It's only a way of creating. To me, I feel that is very important. I recognize that in my life, to me, it was very important to understand the first watercolors from Paul Klee. There is something that makes me to mind how I am now, how I like that things can. When I feel happy about the work that I'm doing, I understand it because it's never dull. It's never. I don't like flatness in things. I like a bit of vibration. So it's a method. Of course, it takes time. When I design something with, in the field of textile, it takes time because it's the early beginning. Then there's a stage of selecting myself which direction I want to do. Then is a dialogue with the company. Then the first sketches come to the company. Then the crossing, the limitations, and then at the end is also dyeing the yarn. And there are a lot of methods to dye a yarn. You can use natural, in industry you cannot use only natural dyes, you have to use pigments that last a bit longer, but it doesn't mean that they have to be artificial. They could be ecological in the same way nowadays. And then I think we have also instruments in this, photospectrometer to understand the intensity of a color, etc. But at the end is the eye that catches the sense of a project. It's something that comes from the experience of looking. When I do, for example, a small collection of textiles that can have 20 colors, something like this, even less, I always go through a selection of maybe we build up a loom that has variations, something like 2,000 units of color. So in between, it's an exercise tool.
You come like Alice in Wonderland, no? You jump, no? It's an exercise. I'm used to do it, but it takes a bit of concentration in a way, no? Then it's a mix of concentration, a bit of ability, indolenza, something that comes also, and something that also, to me, says to me something in a way new, no? Something that I'm attracted by. Also the distortion of the color. It doesn't mean, I don't believe in good and bad taste. There is no difference in my opinion. It's something that comes in the matching of things.
And you always bring a narrative to the. You always bring a narrative to the story, like a story or something to hold on.
Normally, when we go through my work in this field of textiles, at least, when we start a project, an idea, it can start from different points. It can be or the reuse of a material or a yarn, or a new yarn that we want to use, pre-selected by possibilities of production, of course, or we want to interplay with the heavy and the heavy and the thin. Or I have some first ideas that I discussed with the creative design director. So we come to. I normally prepare. I don't work with computer. I can use it for information, but normally I like to prepare a table, like a dinner, full of objects and ideas where I can discuss what could be the narrative of a project, like a script for a small movie, no? It's only the beginning, but it's good when I talk about density. I have to give and explain of what I feel. Density to me is that density, and I show you something that to me is dense. Otherwise, it's a very ephemeral. There must be some points when you touch with your hands and you have a view on this, no? Maybe in the picture there's something that talks about this, even flowers or whatever. What I collect for every collection is about different things. That's why I always travel with a big luggage. Everybody laughs about my luggage, but I have a nickname, it's called Mario Poppins. Because I have a lot of things with me always. I need book, papers, three-dimensional objects. They take room in my luggage. That's why I always profit about my travels to rechange and to enrich a bit of, because maybe I can use it in another time. I don't like to show photocopies. I like to see the real books on the table. That's why also happy, no? But it's a composition of things like it's my bibliothèque, my ephemera glyptothèque. So I put can be stones. I like to start from that point, and then of course it's going to be a recipe that could be also electronic at the end. But the beginning is very tactile, because we talk about textiles in my case, so we don't talk about a plant.
It's something that we approached during this atelier about the light and the materiality of color. But color is really also material.
And sometimes we make mistakes. It's normal this, because research is a 0.5% mistakes. We know, but we have. If you have some intuition, and we want to perceive somehow a value of that satisfies first myself. I don't want to be liked by everybody. I try to understand if I resonate with the thing that I'm doing. I try to simply look at it, if it can have a proper life after. It can be far from it, because it's not mine. The beautiful thing about an industrial project is that at a certain time you see it around. I saw horrible things or horrible shapes with my textile, but beautiful shapes with my textile. This is the beauty of things. I remember the first time I was in Denmark and I saw my first textile, steel cut trio, in Dansk Bank, with all these beautiful pieces of Arne Jacobsen, the Swan chair, that for me was a myth, that actually, wow, such a destiny, because you feel emotion after when you see application. Because at a certain time you don't control it.
Yeah, because textile is a half product, so you don't really know.
It's something that goes alone after, no? They have to continue. They have. Is the wonder of the industrial creation. Because artisanal is different, because you know, somehow you recognize better the destiny of an artisanal piece. When we talk about industrial creation, there is a part that you control very well before. To be happy after, like in a connection For example, having a color card to me is something that I have to forward to myself for some years because they last. They don't last 6 months normally. And so I pretend that there must be some references that have a kind of values that could resonate longer than one season. All the non-colors, as I said, the non-blacks, the non-whites, what you call similar to blue but is not blue. What is the most difficult colors are the hypernaturals. Always, it's easy to have a super color than a color that is subdued, a color that is somehow a formation of, like in when we walk to the river and find stones. This is something that can be unique and casual, but also can have a view on it, no? And making non-colors, yeah, it's a gray. No, it's not a gray. A gray has got this perfect composition of tones, because there's a lot of tones. So it can be grayish. It can be something that has a name of La Colombe. We can name the beautiful. For example, when you buy colors and Beaux-Arts, they have normally a name. It's very nice. They can resonate, no, with a name.
That's what I really liked in the book. Is it's very specific vocabulary on colors, and also like
it has to be a vocabulary, even funny. Sometimes I invent a stupid name for some colors, like old dog teeth, no, a bit yellowish. You don't understand what it goes, or fake flowers, no, these colors that are somehow unpredictable and a bit border in a way, no? But this is part of the game, and every color, I'm going a bit free, but you if you need after, because I can talk for hours about this. It's very easy. What I'm saying now is all in the book. So it's only an extended version, an extended mix of what's happening inside. What to say regarding the book? The thing is that I work with a team of persons, with a wonderful photographer that actually I came to him by coincidence, because Jane Witter said to me, would you like to work with Howard Soley? Are you joking with me? I said, well, he was my myth, because he was one of the first naturalistic photographers of England that did a wonderful book on Derek Jarman.
Yeah, and Derek Jarman also has a great book on chroma.
Exactly.
Really
It's all.
Yeah, it's
and that's why. So we started to form this group with Jane Witters, Howard Soley, and then we had this wonderful graphic designer from Milan, John Morgan, very cute for small publications. So we did art and travels and marbles and architecture. Very tough guy, English, but very good in very good graphic language. And then, of course, we work with other guests in the book. And Nina Koiv, a friend of mine, worked about the systems of color. And we had a lot of lovely participants around the book. So it was somehow not a book where I describe myself and an autobiography that I don't like to have now. And but more about the relation between a critic point of view on color and what can be a way to achieve color. That's why the idea to talk about main workshops done into travels, to me was fundamental, because I used to spend a lot of time in Denmark, in Italy. I went many times in India. Then it could be my Friuli, my homeland. It is very fundamental to me to have somehow to translate a sense of color. So the crossings of these fields create these beautiful travels, and also beautiful photographers from our and also, but not ending as a visual essay, ending with some critique at the end, ending to how can we manage at the end to go to a production in Manchester. How can we transfer this concept to produce wool in the company, and then to understand how can we talk about 800 meters of textile sold. I don't know, Remix is a big somehow story case for Kvadrat, because he changed a bit the game of the story of plain fabrics or two colors fabrics. In that case, we talked about a yarn that was formed by explosion of bumping. It's a secret recipe, but with the air is formed a percentage of yarn that is made by 55% a kind of yellow, 23% of another color. It's 3 colors normally that are blended together, then woven, and then they create a textile at the end. But it's a cross about super woven and super woven, 3 colors and 3 colors, so 6 colors. So at the end you never get there's a, I call it whole point of no return. There's something that you miss in the color range. You cannot say, is it a blue, is it a red? It's something that you have to find a way of telling a story to describe that color. Maybe you can say, it reminds me wing of a butterfly or something like this. It reminds me of a stone that I saw in Normandy. Something is more related to something physical. And that is what I like about the result of this work. I'm very proud of it. Not proud in the sense that it's successful, but it has a meaning for this success. It's very comprehensible in a way, no? And I like the sense of a product that gives me a good salary, first of all, and this allows me to do other research. So I can also be more into edging sometimes. I can ask the Kvadrat to do something that is less bread and butter, a good bread and butter, but I can also play with other semitones. I can also make some mistakes sometimes. I am with them. We have a totally. We are faithful to each other, and I have to say that I asked for to be. I have a special agreement with them. I don't design textiles for other companies. I don't like. I don't need it. I like to have a research with them because I can give my knowledge to them. I did it in the past. I worked in Italy with some velvet producers, but it was very young and design collection. Then, of course, focusing, I came to the conclusion that we work very well together. So now I'm studying the whole archive of Franz Deichmeyer. We'll come out with a collection that will be a blend of hyper-technologic fibers together with a very tough and strong wools that could remind me of Mexico. We are trying to do language, somehow a structure for a continuity of this raconte. Just somewhat.
And also with the indigo, you went to India, so this is you can read about it in the book. And also what was interesting is how today they are trying to recycle their water and their ecological approach to it, which is also interesting to read in the book.
Well, the first thing in all these experiences traveling with the peculiar creations of textiles can be ikat, indigo, wonderful jacquards from France. You have always something that is breathtaking. If we think about also the Tissu de Lyon, they are crazy, hyper beautiful, or the velvets made in Italy. I once had the opportunity to visit the old production of Lorenzo Robelli, and all the quality that they were able to produce, to blend pure gold with silk velvet. To understand, to have this sense of a night star powder, no? In the night with the lumière de chandelier, you have these trembling images, no? And you see that like the Milky Way in the night. There were amazing things of another kind of life. But of course, also the story of indigo comes from, of course, from a plant. It's ethnobotanical use. Ethnobotanical is when botanic influences the life of a population. Normally, indigo is found in a certain latitude. It can be used at the same time in Africa, India. It goes to Thailand, Taiwan, or whatever, the land, Indonesia, Japan, and again in the south of Mexico. You find a lot of indigo producers. But at the same time, you find also cochineal, other elements that are the same part of the process. And what to say, nowadays, the emphasis of the indigo is more because it's something that has got to do also with the utilitarian blue jeans. It has something also to do with the uniform. It is something to do of the beauty of blue jeans that they fade. And this is the beauty of is the print, the human body. It's the decay of the body also, no? But indigo, of course, is a process that I visited very well in India, more than in Japan, because I wanted to visit a specific area of India where there's a product that is like, I would say, the capital of the creation of industrial design and textiles. It's a region called Gujarat. Gujarat is called a beautiful school of design that was run by the Sarabhai family, who invited likewise Le Corbusier in India to build up their house. They invited Charles and Ray Eames from America to teach at the school. So there was a lot of energy in that area in the 60s and 70s. Before, it was the production of minor communities that were working with double ikat. It's called patolas. These are incredible double ikat. Ikat is ikat. Double ikat is crazier because you print the warp and the weft and then you cross. It's like a wonderful Sigmar Polke, something that it's faded. Thomas Ruff, some images that they fade, but you feel the beauty is in the fading. It's not in the definition of the lines. And it takes a great capability, something very spiritual also can be, no? For this population.
Yeah, it is.
But coming to indigo, to me, the best, what made me a bit really, I would say, astonished, was the indigo is a cold technique. You don't boil the water to print indigo. It's a process like vinegar in Italy, it's a fermentation. It's like to print an image, camera chiara, Lombard. You work with feeling the smell of the substance of the plants, the variation, and then in certain times, normally beginning of the rising moon, they paint it and they repaint it. And so the blue is very personal to every weaver. There is not you cannot categorize the blue of indigo. Of course, you can recognize that the indigo of Central and South Africa is blue-violet, because really, maybe the indigo of France also is lighter, no, with the plants, with the clematis, or what they do. It has an origin, but this is the beauty of the origin, no, the beauty of colors. But to me, it was very fundamental. And what the trip to India to me was to demonstrate myself, my love to indigo, but then to translate it on a concept that was more industrial. So we created some other 20 colors based on this research. That was not only indigo, but also a kind of subtle honey skin tones, some colors that still are in production. That some can be very nice, some papaya colors, very somehow very orientated in that part of India. Likewise, not only blue. Indigo can be also a dimension, not only a color. But this, to me, is a treat, because every time to get inspiration from a color, we can have it from a lot of things. If I think about or some painters, there's something that everybody must we have an intervention. It can be why not a movie? If you think some movies about, many examples. I don't want to mention one, but Wong Kar-wai, The Mood for Love, or some movies that really create a kind of resonance in the ambience of situations where a lot of things can happen together. But I don't want to specify something, because it's a huge word, that one.
Yeah. And I have one question. When you have to go down to a few colors from 2,000 colors, how do you do that?
Well, I take my courage and I see. I like to do it morning time. Normally we do it, we have a lovely room, or I do it by myself in my studio or my home or outside, because I don't have a specific position for my work. I can do it also outside. I like to travel, so I can do it open air or in a bad condition weather. So I like also to work with color in different situations. Once I was convinced that color has to be achieved in a beautiful sunlight, color, whatever, in a pure situation. Nowadays, I think that we have to work in mixed media, because the big thing of nowadays is we can be, of course, digital or analogic, as in between. That is the reality of reaction of our way of looking at things. No? We are continually in continuity in between retro-illuminated and analogic situation, like here. Now we have this and this and this. So this is it's like a training, no? But when it comes to talking about this example, it's a lovely and exciting moment, because you start the roll of textile. Normally you have pieces like are 50 per 50 or 40 per 40, and then you have the combination of the warp and the weft, and you see like a big checker tablecloth, and you start to cut, and then I cannot describe myself, but I feel like a cat, a wild cat. I go up and down and pick and try to make some families. And in the end, I let them go. I go out, I clean my eyes, and I continue the second day. See, it's a process. Sometimes I like to be alone. Sometimes I need some company. I ask also to have a time to concentrate. I cannot do it. A selection of that has to reduce from 2,000 to 30 colors can last three days, I would say.
And do you come back to it like a week later or something?
Yes, I can come back. And then of course there is until before ending to the ending, there's also a selection of a board of commitment of Kvadrat. There are people that are selecting the pre-final stage. Maybe we have to control that, we have to keep it two less or two more. But normally there's not so much discrepancy in what I want to do and what they select. Sometimes they want more. This is very nice also. But a selection, for example, you have some textiles that cost 60 variations, like remix. Others that are very new, that have got 12. It depends. It's always a moment of risk everywhere. So we have to plan a bit this risk of being not too much exotic in what we do, but a bit grounded, but with a kind of poetry, you know. So this is the beautiful way of. That's why I work very well with danoise. We can be tough, but also with a sentiment. It's not about butterfly, you know, like this. So, but it's also a nice part of the story. What I want, when I want to do this, I do my installation with textiles. I do other works. I like. I say, to me, this work is not 24 hours a day. So I do it when I'm very precise, then I let it go. Then I go for. I need some. I go for botanic. I do other things. I consult companies. I write. So I try not to repeat the same situation. Even with clients, I've been always independent since I was 25. I started with fashion, but then working as advisor, I consulted companies like in shoes, like Camper, Tod's, blah, blah, blah. Then, for example, I didn't have a long relation in Italy, like as much as for Moroso, because I didn't want to work for three companies that are somehow competitive on the same things. It has more sense to concentrate on a client and to work in a team. Because at the end, I work with the designer, with the production, with the technician. We have to install the foams of a sofa. It's a process. I learn something every time. Now, in the last days, I was visiting, I had a privilege to visit a wonderful tile maker, an ancient tile maker in the south of the area behind Napoli, where they produce mattonelle, the typical Italian cotto in the oven, that can be fantastic, and they have a ritual when they do it by hand. And they asked me to take somehow part of it, creating a kind of semantic, an alphabet of the history of these tiles. And now I have to prepare this for the end of June. I'm trying to pick up, I'm already thinking what I want to do, and it will be a lovely beginning, another field to make this a little more solid. I like to change also perspective. Textiles to me are in a way not easier, they can be complicated, but I'm confident with them. With other materials I like also to work with the ingredients that I don't know, like in cooking, no? Maybe a new spice, or you don't know is.
But that's the nice thing about colors, is that it touches so many different things. Like it's
See, but it's good also to know the chemical of colors, no? Because there's the reactions, like even, for example, in tiles, you have a color that comes before cooking and after cooking, no? In the oven. So in textiles, they say when you dye a yarn, you don't understand which will be the final color until it will be dry. When when you paint at home, you never do this. I love to paint at home even with a washing machine. We do disasters. You blend the colors and you want to paint a shirt in a lovely burgundy blackish color, and you try to accumulate it, and you look at it when it's still wet. Oh, it's one, and then make it dry. Otra vez, another time. But this is it. No, it's like cooking, no? When you look, for example, you understand sometimes when it's the smell, but also the color of a dish, that you understand it is ready, no? The color of a cake, or you can feel it when it has this, no?
Yeah.
It's mineral, it's something that comes from the inside, then it's endemic from the object, no?
Yeah. Or also with like painting, that's what you said.
It's there is everything, every material, every action is good inside when you talk about a possible coloration. To me, for example, I always loved to look at colors in movement, car industry, to see colors of beautiful cars. To me, I remember it was a joy to me when I was young. I stayed in big roads, not out of, to see, living in a part of Italy, this of the border near Slovenia and Austria. There was a summer tourism, no? So I saw these beautiful cars coming from Austria, some Mercedes, or even beautiful colors, no? Sometimes a Rolls Royce, colors that were amazing, no? And even the evolution in the color industry, or car industry, is quite amazing, no? The research, the French design is different from Italian design. You can feel the school, no? Of emotions about recipes and also chemicals, because chemicals are fundamental.
Yeah, I feel it. So I think every time the first kind of a border, I do feel the change in colors.
This is beautiful. This is a change of attitude also, no? Because maybe it's something that is very regional, and I think that keeping this regionality is quite important, not to making so uniform to everything. There is a difference. The lighting in Denmark when I go in summer is incredible. I like to go in June. It's my preferred season around St. Johan to enjoy the freshness, and the people in Denmark are getting very happy because the flowers, they can last the whole night. It's like midsummer dream, no? You can
and
feel
that's
it.
one of the textile you based on this also Nordic arts.
This is something that is very, as well as all the block that you feel in winter, or the grays that could be also amazing, like now. And Italy has a more a softer sphere of colors, no? It's never so incredible, but it's very mild. If you think about Tiepolo, the colors of the painting of the Renaissance in Italy, they are always, there is a sense of harmony, no? In this, because they're not such a big contrast, no? In some epochs. I'm very attracted. I like art of that period too a lot. I'm trying to go around Italy to find painters of the Renaissance. I saw last yesterday beautiful fresco in a bay in Friuli that was just restored from a school from Giotto. And to look at these greens that seems like there's a green that is called verde vescica, no? The inside verde bile, the color of the lymphatic colors of life. That you can see that are so incredibly organic, no? There's something that makes me a bit think about, always, vegetation also.
Yeah. And for upholstery, is there colors that you can't really touch, or you just for upholstery, because it's applied in the home? Like, is there some color that you say, this is not possible?
No, I think that there's no limit. I would say that what's happening, even in the selection of, for example, I always insist. Sometimes I do work on interior design. I had the chance after this book. I was contacted by, it was a very funny story. It was like Kvadrat said me, there is a baron that lives in Ulm that asked Kvadrat, your address, because he got raptured by the quality of the air. Okay, put me in touch, and it was this. And it was during the first launch. It was in the COVID winter, no? And he phoned to me. He said to me, "I'm very impressed about your approach to color. I inherited a castle from my family. I would love to have your opinion. Would you like to work with me? Well, I say, we need to visit the castle. We need to talk a bit together. It's not my usual work, but if you, we can discuss it easily. So he invited me to go there, and it was very funny. Now the castle is ended. We made also a film, I'm mounting a movie with Howard Soley about this. I had the opportunity to work in a beautiful way because at the same time this was not given an orange and blue and it was under the Beaux-Arts, so there was the restrictions. But what we did was to work in respect of the place and of naturality of the. It was a water region, a lot of rivers there, and at that time I asked to work with an architect. I'm not an architect, so I need also some technical designs and codes, etc. So a friend I work normally with when I do interiors. And we work with a Swiss company that you should contact. The name of the company is ENSCi-Les. They are based in Zurich, and they work with pigments. Is it time is too much? I don't know if we have time.
Peut-être qu'on peut poser des questions.
Please.
Yeah, if there's questions.
Italians are very tough.
And we had some pictures with this.
But please, very easy. To me, I'm here. I didn't. You see, I have no prepare anything. The book is a pretext of to be with you. We have a new textile to show you.
Yeah, we
That's
also
the
have
issue.
textile to show. If you have some questions, please do. I maybe had one more question about the construction of the book. Like, how did you decide things? Because it's so...
Well, the construction of the book was wanted by me and Jay. We wanted to have a book that could hear the voices of different people working together. It was not about, there are hundreds of books about theory of colors. We didn't want to create a theory of colors. We just wanted to create an experience of how we do work with color. In that case it was me, but also other people, not only me. Because the part that is to be a biography of my life, and then the starting point of what happened with Kvadrat, and then the traveling, etc., was designed like a let's say a script before a book. Something that was connecting it. And then time by time we invited people to. It was not done since the beginning, like we have to do this, this, and this. So it was like an open page. That's
but it's very fluid. I really invite you to read the text also, because then all the pictures make sense. Like, they're beautiful to look at.
It has a sense. You're right. It has a sense because after there was a lot of production of it, a lot of meetings, selecting the images about the continuity of the story. It's divided in chapters, but at the end is one on. You can read from the end.
Yeah, it's really a journey, and you can start somewhere where you want to.
See, you can. It's like a good way. It's like a. How do you say? Something you can consult when you want to consult, even for some pages or not, or to read something about indigo or something about industrial production, or to see what is a fashion history. You have a lot of points of view inside. This is, I think that is, to me, is a good result, because I didn't want an autobiography. That's what I say. I didn't want it, so they respected me.
Well, that's what you see. Also, that's good. Is there any questions or not? No. What? You okay? I couldn't see the pictures.
But it doesn't matter.
J'essaie de m'aider de la mettre. Je crois que le livre il est passé.
Le livre il est par là. Il tourne. Vous voulez la voir?
Vas-y, Daphne.
You talked about the originality, so how would you describe the, I don't know, French textile style or Italian?
very simple. I was born in an epoch that was more analogic than digital. So you have more influence nowadays in this digital. Did I understood well the question?
The question is, how do you distinguish French textile or Italian textile?
No. Well, sorry, I understood. I have to take care about my ear. Well, of course, there are methods of studying also. Schools are important in creating persons. No, Italian school maybe is different from French school. Even the taste of the French textiles are different from Italian textiles. If I remember very well, still I like this difference because it's a way of, in a way it's a didactic, it's pedagogic, it's also the way of the air, of course, what you have. Elements that are existing in Italy maybe don't exist so too common in France. Maybe you have the wool in the Pyrenees and we have the wool in Abruzzi. So it makes a difference, no? And we have another utilization of the same materials in different cultures, no? The wool in England is fundamental, wool, no? And so they are very clever. If you think about Aristoid, Shetland, and the name of wonderful wools that they have. France is more into tiny, delicate construction of wool, you know, the gabardine, all the words that are, they have an origin, no? And la charmeuse, all these textiles that have specific names that somehow talk about the structure, no? Italy is good from, we say, what can I say, typical name of Italian textiles, raso, satin, raso, something that comes from silk, because you have a lot of silk in Italy, but also very light silks, very light cottons from Italy can be very beautiful. All the mol quadretti, or you call battista di cotone, all the constructions are very thin and like mousseline, we call it battista in Italy. But there are some origins and schools of thin, and also they are part of a social, how do you say, surroundings, no? The royaume, not royaume, it depends also on the couture, la moda. We have a lot of differences, no? In preparation. How do you say, for example, there is a lovely, how Italian cooking is so brilliant in a way, but very also difficult to make a pasta al pomodoro in 5 minutes. At the same time, it's very difficult to us to prepare a bowl of wine. It's something that comes from the origin of the place where it is studied and applied, and the sun. It's something about ingredients also, always, no? And so the thoughts, and so the schools. And then, of course, about the formation of the artist, maybe a formation artist that is a blend of Italian, can also speak a multicultural language. Or France can absorb more latitudes in his style than Italy, because we had less mutuality of people living. We don't have a Vietnamese culture in Italy, for example, or something that can blend with a lot of facts interact with this difference in a kind of origin of design. England, the pragmatism of England, no, the school of England. We have a lot of schools, no, but it's nice to see the difference at the end. I think that every school wants to aim the maximum effect, no, of what they do, no, even with the proudness to be, I am Italian, or it doesn't mean nothing nowadays, but there is a kind of soul, no, in every. What I see now, I go often in Mexico in these years, and I see an attitude to gourmandise. They love food, they go enter, they love everything in food, they feel the dish with everything, and they like to taste everything. It's quite unbelievable to me, no? The idea of the chromophilia that they have in everything. Passion, it's like India, you cannot stop it. You go beyond, no? And we are more maybe, but we have another education. If you think that you have Roland Barthes on a wonderful semiologic, and also these aspects to me is something that comes from different areas and different approaches also.
Ça répond à la question.
Tu peux parler fort, ça peut plus simple.
Thank you very much. I really like the introduction. I was very technical when you talk about colors. It's very much linked to the material you were mentioning. And in that aspect, I was wondering, how do you see the digitalization of the color? When you talk about how colors is a layering, this aspect of color, because you are obviously used to work with color in a less digital world. And when you see the color used nowadays, more and more used in digital products, where we talk about retro lighting, or that can tend to kind of have this very bland color. How do you see this, and do you think it changed the perception we have on color?
I think that is a very, very good question, because I ask myself very often this. I think it's the relation within these two, let's say, defined or undefined words that create something that is new, no? The interface, the back face of these aspects can be very interesting. Even authors in art, in contemporary art in the 50s, already asked themselves about the importance of computer, no? L'ordinateur, in Francais, no? It's something that comes really from two possibilities of achieving new information, no? Because a better information means also a better democracy, a better way of life, no? To me, of course, I would say that I'm more into the way of natural colors, because I walk a lot outside. I like gardening. I'm more related to that kind of more, let's say, rustical life. But I can understand very well the beauty of, for example, if you think about the work of Thomas Denman, it's also made on a naturality that is composed before, but it's very digital in a way also at the end of the composition. Or digital photography can be wonderful also. So there is nothing, to me, it's not a limitation, but there must be always an open door to achieve both information, and nevertheless they can live together very well.
Yeah, but they need to communicate, or you need translation, because I can see also in my practice as a CMF designer sometimes that you have a public that tends to want to have this digital color in physical world, and you cannot work this way.
But this is part of the game also, no? Just about creation, no? In my opinion, no? It's the making of things that makes the thing happen. Always, no? And sometimes some unpredictable, some situations that we would never consider can be very gentle and very new also, no? And it's all a bit of proportions, no? Actually, because it's all, if you watch a color in a huge dimension, like in architecture, it's different than to watch a miniature, no? But at the same time, we must be able to consider architecture, no? Because it's very important. And sometimes in architecture there's not too much risk, because we consider there must be, say, continuity in generations, and also can be very boring sometimes. Nevertheless, we have some examples of great creators also in architecture that work simultaneously in the skin of the objects and in the shape of an object. And this sometimes when it happens is very nice. Think about the Japanese school of Sejima, or Herzog de Meron, or some, even Lakatong and Vassal were mentioning before, when they restored Palais de Tokyo, was an incredible, beautiful work, because it allowed the decay to be part of the aesthetic of a place. But keeping in a vocabulary, not something controlled in a way, because it's part of ecology, it's a part of not falsely revamping something that doesn't need 100% to be revamped. The responsibility of nowadays, for example in color, if you see the color for houses, architects, you see these horrible colors that last 200 years because they are not veg, they are not organic. So they're so pigmented that those horrible yellows that we have in Italy, in the countryside, they will last for you have to put, I hope that they last for a long time. It's a big responsibility, but for the industry of colors, for painting colors, not for the lady that lives alone and wants to have a pink in the house. It's the problem is at the beginning of the cycle, no?
It's very much linked to the way of thinking color with material.
Exactly. And maybe also nowadays what I see is a kind of permeation about pollution in the color situation, because it's so easy to some makeup, to paint and to make shapes look more attractive, like in Milan or Salone del Mobile. You see this color blocking, all these things that somehow are mesmerizing, and also an effect that is already existing in art, in things that can be also disruptive, but they have to be disruptive things. You don't have to be polite every moment. We can also be into some process that somehow create. Maybe you won't get it, but it's something that makes you think about it. No? Like a language, or a lot of languages. Even what I would be attracted by, I don't know if I would do it, but think about an hybridator of new colors for geraniums or roses. How can you imagine that every year you have a market of plants in Holland where they create new colors in flowers? Where does it start? Where is the starting point there? To me, it's getting me a bit curious, because I like broderie in a way, but how can you invent a flower with these colors that are quite, those begonias in new colors, those surfinias, the market, and then you see them, they spread out very well in the market, like a pop product. Popular, no? And you see that there are colors that are getting popular every year, no? In plants. This is quite crazy, no? By the way, no? Talking about colors, the only thing that, what I have to say, that we are affected by colors in everything that we buy. Look at the colors of tomatoes at the supermarket. When you go there, you see this super, ultra red tomatoes. Where are they from?
It's changing now. We got oranges and yellow.
Hey.
You see more and more.
And now they add the yellow tomatoes, the green tomatoes, just to make it a difference, not on this, but at the end is, we know it's a complicated story, but we have to survive.
And one question maybe for you, Eric, with Kvadrat, is that something about the lasting of the color, because it's something that people, they want it to be reproduced? Is that something more about, like the decay of color? Or?
Yeah, of course it is important. For example, what is happening, you can also know better. So sometimes when you have an opera, you have a public theatre, and you have to resupply, or they have more quantity of chairs than they need.
Yeah, but it's, you could say it's also about the long-lasting part, that the colors we are making will have to survive for a long time on a piece of furniture.
But you couldn't imagine that the pink from Nana-Nicelle could last for 40 years.
Yeah, and I think we are open also,
Yeah.
and it's very much about inspiration. When we work with Giulio, it's because we as a company need inspiration to do collections that should be able to last many years ahead. And also hear you talking about your inspiration. So that's really what we need as a company to be able to create new designs and new colors.
But I think new, well, to me it's quite, I don't like, more and more when I listen to my, I don't use never I never say it. It's something I want to go, I need to explain why I like these things before. But there must be a motor that carries me to understand that I would love to consider 5 pinks together, for example, because the nice image that I got from the painter somehow that I think is correct, but it's not, there's not color winning to one another. It's a kind of working with a family of colors. I'm not working in color combination, so I can predict that every color has to stay in a scale of colors, but one-to-one they have to look attractive in a way, no? When you go and find this typical example, makeup for women, no? When you have a very precise idea what you want as a foundation or an eyeliner, if you want it black or brownish, makeup is a wonderful example of color attitude, no? And French makeup is one of the best, no? There is something that is very unique in the making of, you say, makeups and fard, all these things that are coming from a kind of transformation of the body, but also an enlightenment of the body. It's magical when you see also in Japan the beauty of the color scheme. It was a theme fantastic in the Renaissance, in Italy also, painting the faces, but also it can be transformed and put it also on different levels. It can be also a politic attitude. No, I want the color because I want to be different. No, I want to stage with the color my difference. No, that's another part very interesting. Why the black period of the underground about me too. I was a dark, but I was very funny because I started with black and black, selecting blacks on my body. Then I put black and brown, then brown and grey. Then slowly I processed until I wanted to introduce some color, and it was a kind of skin tone, because again, color. And then of course it's an exercise. I like to practice on myself color stages. They're fundamental because I can see them, I can feel them. And
maybe there's one more question.
Only speak a bit loud because of me.
Ouais, peut-être parler fort.
You said you are interested in botany.
I see.
I'm curious to know how you relate it to your practice and how it inspires you in your work.
The relation between plants and?
Botanic and your color practice.
Well, there's a lot of relation. To me, I get inspiration by first sprouts of, can be a garden also in Paris, I don't know, when magnolias come out every year, and I like to understand that they impress me in a way, or the first leaves of a plant. There are a lot of things that can come to me. I'm not forced to, but I like exercising with nature. To me, with botanical, allows me to understand the variation of tones. That's very fundamental to me. The intensity of what, if I can see a yellow in a red, or there is something that carries me in the composition. And then, of course, the anatomy of a plant, the color comes from the structure, so it transforms continuously. It's not fixed color. So when you talk about roses, for example, or anemone, or some plants that have got beautiful colors, they depend about the genetic structure of the plant. This is very interesting. No? At the end, we go always there. No? What described also, what did, for example, years ago, Patrick Blanc with the vertical gardens, an idea to see the green in another version, no? The mutuality of plants that are growing together. They're not forcing to stay in a typical architecture of a park, no? But to understand this intensity that was carried from the jungle, no? From his experience. There are a lot of things that are evocative, no? In nature, but also not, because they can also be very, very digital, no? To me, when I remember a movie that to me was somehow a crossover that carried me to understand that life was a bit changing a lot, was with the movie Until the End of the World from Wim Wenders, where there was part of the story that was shot in a kind of way digital. So he has this Sony, the new camera, and the colors were blurred, no, in red, pink, and they were the part of the dreaming of the mother, no? So the dream was defined by other kind of colors than the actual life. And to me it was something that made me think about the importance to accept, also this two wonderful phenomena that can be directly illuminated, like in some movies from Coppola at the beginning, and the pure sense of other filmmakers like Jarman that created a kind of palette that was Renaissance, totally Renaissance, or films that are based on a color. It's a different approach, but I think that if we can modulate it gracefully with our soul, it's part of half of the work is done. Not to fear, research in color, and possibly maybe have all projects, but also to start that every shape has got somehow calls a color in a way. There is something that is related in architecture, of course, because you stone, you use a lot of natural materials, but also weaving. Every structure is enlightened by colors also, no? If you want to reach darkness, profoundness, rudeness, values that can be enlightened about also a combination of colors. And first of all, if you weave, you know that tactility is fundamental. So you look at the color, but you feel the color with your hand. It's like it's something that's related. It has something to do with sensuality also.
Maybe we can look at the fabric. Il a circulé. Okay. Well, there is the last fabric that you designed.
The story of the last fabric is something funny to me because I didn't want to somehow. I was not convinced at the beginning to design that thick fabric because at the end it was a very normal construction of the, how do you say, basket construction, warp and web, double, nice, but to me I saw them many in my life. But the idea to transform and to work with the thicker yarns and to have this yarn that was very thin, bullish, but multicolored yarn, like a string, like a horsehair, very thin, very precise. I like it a lot monofilaments. When I say that I like digital and analogic, I say that I like the beauty of a wool thread mixed with a nylon, a monofilament that is, you cannot open it, this is fixed, like the car industry in the past, a textile that could be a melange of sensuality and technicity, very strong in sensuality and a certain technicity. So this textile is born about some observation. The story of Mexico is it's a storytelling because, of course, I like the way they weave fajas. They have very thin yarns of cotton, and they normally do tellers like weaves that are 30 centimeters maximum, and they do it with the body, so they work like this, and they put it on a tray. I wanted somehow to enhance the concept of a very thick and very thin. That was the beginning. Then, of course, we played a bit about as I live in Mexico now, I like also other things, but it's not consequential. I don't like the storytelling about it. It's something you can tell, but it comes from another origin normally. The beauty to me was to work with the 2 layers and the idea of working industrially because it's an industrial textile, so it has to last. It's under some rules of martindale, solid fastness, all values that in fashion you don't have, for example. You know what is a martindale test? But I don't want to make a stupid question, but at the beginning to me, when I say 100,000 martindale, that means that you can see 100,000 times without any decay of the fabric, any rupture, and it's quite incredible, And you cannot have it on silk because silk is has a short hair, somehow. But this doesn't matter. Sometimes you can use silk for other reasons. And this textile somehow has got something like 12 colors. It was very well received in Milan, and to me this could be yes or not. I'm not forced to understand this. I like to see the longevity of textile. But I think that it could be at the beginning of a new story of working in Norway, because this factory is based in the north of Bergen, deep Norway, when they have a wool and they have all the machinery, all the looms, and they are able to work with thick textiles. All the collection of Ralph Simons for Kvadrat is designed mostly in Norway, because they can work with the, let's say, Viking yarns, heavy. It's not so refined like in England or in France, and so you can find a little very thick textile, very nice and expensive, of course, because as thicker as it is, as expensive as the wool. But I would say that it can be joyful, very joyful.
Is there any more question, or perhaps we're gonna end the talk?
Before the end?
No.
Nothing.
Thank you so much.
But tomorrow we have to continue something.
Tomorrow we continue together with the group of 17 students.
Okay.
So they're going to show Giulio, they're going to get the feedback on the work that they've been working on for this atelier.
No, because I think it's always nice. What I said to when we talked the first time, I would love maybe to talk about a book, etc. It's something that is interesting, but it can be also immaterial. And I like sometimes to work on materialities, not to understand what's on the pan, what's cooking, no?
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I normally do with people when I go, and I don't do a lot of workshops. Sometimes I do. The invitation was very kind. I love to be with you at the stage of the book is a pretext to me to be here.
Yeah, no, it's also great to have the expertise of Giulio on the project tomorrow as well for the project. So that's,
I hope that you don't get bored, because it can be very boring and talk about content. Really, I can. There is a wonderful book, anyhow, that I would suggest. Maybe you know it already. It's called Chromophobia. It's about the attitude of it's an English book from this Bates, it has a name. It's a neuropsychiatrist, very interesting, and he made this book about dividing why normally people think that colors like black and white are safer than others, or on the opposite, chromophilia, the people that could live in a chromophilia. Philia is from Greek, no? To be disposed to love something, no? And this is I think it's a good dissertation of what we said also today. It's not about also the big books about color, no? The French book that can be nice, but a bit too. No, it's better to read La Recherche, Proust, to understand more colors. No? The colors of eglantine, of the roses. He does wonderful descriptions in his books. No? You understand very well something.
But tomorrow it's open, so if you want to pass by to see it's tomorrow morning. Well, that's possible. I just thank you, Giulio, because I'm super happy that color is put a bit on, as really a topic, because I don't think color is boring. So I'm really happy that color is a bit put on stage like this.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Absolutely for us too. Je voulais conclure. D'abord, j'avais oublié de bien présenter notre chère collègue Émilie, pour dire qu'effectivement, Émilie est diplômée de Design Academy de Milan et qu'elle enseigne ici en design textile depuis maintenant 4 ans. Je voulais le préciser. Donc un grand merci à tous d'être venus si nombreux, c'est un plaisir. Et je tenais aussi à remercier Frédéric Pain, qui est d'ailleurs là ce soir, qui est notre directrice, ainsi que tous mes collègues, tous nos collègues qui nous ont aidés dans la préparation de cette rencontre. Et je tiens à vous dire qu'effectivement, le prochain numéro de À l'invitation, ce sera le numéro 50. excusez-moi, je le fais en français. Nous accueillerons un ancien élève de l'école, diplômé de l'école, qui s'appelle Morgane Segui, et qui a vécu une expérience assez dingue, assez extraordinaire, pour dire, il a vécu 5 jours en état de survie, il a essayé de survivre pendant 5 jours. Il est tombé, il est allé faire un trekking au Timor, et il est tombé de 7 mètres. Et donc il a vécu pendant 5 jours comme ça, en essayant de survivre, très blessé. Et donc il a écrit ce récit. Et c'était très intéressant parce que sa formation de designer l'a aidé à survivre. Donc c'est aussi une expérience qu'on avait envie de partager avec les élèves ici. C'est une personnalité en plus assez exceptionnelle. Donc ce sera un moment de rencontre particulier avec les élèves qui sont ici présents à l'école. Et ce sera la semaine prochaine, mercredi 29 mai à 18h. Donc vous êtes tous conviés, bien sûr. Ne serait-ce que pour rencontrer cette personne. Et alors le titre du livre est 5 jours au Timor et c'est publié chez Premier Parallèle. C'est sorti début mai de cette année. Voilà, il a réussi à trouver un éditeur intéressé par cet incroyable récit. Donc voilà, bonne soirée à tous et je vous remercie.
Merci.
Cette soirée.